Sony says that the PS4 Pro is 4K ready, but does that mean it's actually going to be able to render games at 2160p? I've been hearing a lot of people talking about the PlayStation 4 Pro as the ultimate console that's bringing 4K UHD gameplay to console gaming. And so today I want to take a look at the specs of the PS4 Pro and really determine, is this console actually going to be able to run games at 4K? What is up, guys? My name is Wumbo, and during the PlayStation meeting event, Sony's Andrew House officially announced the PS4 Pro. It's sort of a mid-generation refresh that's catering towards this 4K market that's emerging. It only costs $399, and when I say only, I'm considering the fact that this is supposedly going to be running 4K. And so that price tag, that leaves us questioning, is this console really capable of running 4K games? How can Sony pull off 4K UHD gameplay with this price tag, and especially with these specs? If we look at the specs here, it doesn't necessarily add up. Another question I've had is, why doesn't it have a 4K Blu-ray drive? And how will this update compare to Project Scorpio? The console market has never been so confusing. So before we go any farther, I want to get the specs out of the way here. The CPU is still an 8-core AMD Jaguar, but it's clocked faster for this new machine. The GPU is a custom AMD Radeon setup that can hit 4.2 teraflops. It's still at 8 gigabytes of GDDR5, but the memory bandwidth did get a bump. A 4K HDR-capable HDMI output is included, Bluetooth 4.0 LE 802.11 AC Wi-Fi, 3 USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports are built in, but the optical drive is still stuck with regular Blu-ray. Not a single mention of 4K Blu-ray support. So the leaks from earlier this year pointed to a 2.1 GHz CPU clock speed, 36 compute units at 911 MHz, and slightly improved memory bandwidth at 218 gigabits per second. These specs haven't been verified, but just if we look at those specs alone, the sort of accepted predictions for what this is going to feature in terms of specs, they compare pretty poorly to numbers being thrown around about Project Scorpio from Microsoft. People are questioning whether or not Scorpio will be able to run 4K, so it's obvious that people are going to be questioning whether or not the PS4 Pro will actually be able to run 4K. So this is where it gets interesting, guys. So Extreme Tech's Joel Hruska talked about the feasibility of native 2160p games on this kind of hardware, on the PS4 Pro kind of hardware. The reality is that he was skeptical, and it looks like it's just not going to be possible. The graphics setup for the PS4 Pro is similar to an RX 480 with a lower clock speed. On top of that, memory bandwidth just doesn't add up to that of a 4K capable machine. It's faster than a baseline PS4, but we'd expect 300 gigabits per second or more to be reasonable performance at 4K. Another thing I think is really interesting to consider is that at the start of the last console generation, Sony made a big deal about the PS3's 1080p capability, but very few games were ever actually able to render natively at 1920 by 1080p. I beg the question, is this a similar situation here? Is Sony claiming that the PS4 Pro will be able to run 2160p, but it actually won't be able to render that natively for the vast majority of games? 2160p is a possibility for the PS4 Pro, but we could end up seeing most AAA polygonal games sticking to 1440p or 1080p targets and then upscaling to 4K. I think it's much more likely that games are going to be upscaling to 4K than actually rendering natively at 4K. Now, a little caveat here, it really is indisputable that this hardware is going to be better for gamers. We're going to have HDR image quality, the image overall is going to be better, and all this better hardware is going to leave developers more room to make better games and also have higher frame rates for games. So it's not out of the question whether or not it's going to be better, but it is quite debatable whether or not we're actually going to be seeing native 4K from the PS4 Pro. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think it's really interesting how Sony is being a little bit shady with this whole situation, but I would undoubtedly say that Microsoft will also be similarly shady whenever they announce their Scorpio. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and if you really enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe. My name's Wumbo. I'll see you next time.